I would recommend the Joe Hippensteel Method for anybody that has lower back problems. And he figured it out. This guy's a genius.
The Joe Hippensteel Method.
Hi, I'm Eddie Bravo, founder of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and I also produce music. 2003 at the World Championships, the ADCC World Championships, I submitted Royler Gracie, who at that point was a 3-time champion. No one ever scored a point on him. It was the biggest upset in jiu-jitsu history. That I immediately got my black belt after that, because I did that as a brown belt, and opened up a school, and just that was the beginning of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. There's 2 basic styles of jiu-jitsu. One is gi jiu-jitsu and one is no-gi jiu-jitsu. And the gi is the uniform, like it looks like a karate uniform, judo uniform. And when you grapple in the gi, it becomes like a tug of war of the jacket and the pants. Like you're allowed to grab the jacket and the pants, and it's different than no-gi, because no-gi, you grapple and you're not allowed to yank and pull on clothes. You wear tight fitting rash guards and shorts, and it's basically like wrestling. So it's a lot different. And Royler Gracie spent most of his career training in the gi, while I was spending a lot of time no-gi. I like no-gi way better than the gi. So, I faced him at the 9-year mark of my jiu-jitsu training, and he had been training since before he could walk. So that's why I was a big upset. A guy with 9 years of jiu-jitsu training against a guy that he probably had 30 years. And it was because 2 things. I focused on no-gi, and the World Championships, the ADCC World Championships, is a no-gi tournament. And my instructor, he was born without fingers in his left hand. His name is Jean-Jacques Machado, and he didn't have any fingers in his left hand his whole life. And so his style of gi jiu-jitsu was like no-gi jiu-jitsu, because since he couldn't play tug of war and grab the collar and the sleeve and the pants with his left hand, he had to use wrestling grips, or overhooks, underhooks, where you're not allowed to grab clothes. We met at jiu-jitsu school. We both trained under Jean-Jacques Machado. We became really good friends. And, at that point, when I won that particular match, I was working as a comedy writer for the Man Show. When Joe Rogan was on the Man Show on Comedy Central, I was one of the writers that they hired. And at that point, the show, before the actual match, man, that show was falling apart. I knew it was going to get canceled. They treated me like garbage. It was a horrible experience. And for me at that point, I was 32. And I was like, at least I got a free trip to Brazil, because I won the North American trials. So you get a free trip to Brazil. And Joe said, I'm going with you. So me and Joe took a week off, or like 5 days off, of working on the Man Show. And again, I was miserable. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm like, man, I'm about to be jobless. But at least I got this final trip to Brazil. These black belt world champions are going to whip my ass. So, but at least I get to have fun in Brazil for a few days. And that's how I approached the whole thing. So when I submitted him, I came back, and it was a good time to quit my writing job. And that's what I did. I quit, walked off the set, and I said, Joe, thank you for always having my back. And he's the reason I got the job. I had back surgery, my L5-S1. That's the big problem. I had back surgery like 7 years ago. And I had shoulder surgery, had to reattach my bicep. I had knee surgery, meniscus damage, and just, both shoulders were tweaked, and my back. And, that's pretty much it. But the back injury was the biggest one. One of my students, Day, she works for him. She's one of his assistants. And she would always tell me, she heard I had back problems and I couldn't really roll in jiu-jitsu, and it was really bothering me. It was really bad, because when I went in to get the back surgery in 2016, the doctor said, both your vertebrae, L5 and the L4, they both need a disc replacement. The L5 needs it right now. The L4 is going to need it in a few years. So we could do them both now, or you could come back in 6 years and do the other one. And I just said, just do one now and I'll come back in 6 years. So here we are 6, 7 years later. And, my back is really starting to tighten up, and a lot of the pain's coming back. So I figured the doc did tell me I would have to come back in 6 years. So maybe I got to go back and do the surgery again. And then Dave would say, you should meet Joe Hippensteel. He's got this, we could fix it. And I'm like, I've heard so many offers from different people with different styles and how to fix backs, and oh, you're not doing this right, or you're not doing that right, do this. Or like, there was a guy who was like, it's the way you're walking, and you're trying to fix the way you're walking. And I'm like, oh man. So I was just basically ignoring her, but she kept saying, we could fix you, I'll fix you, we can fix you. And then finally I said, okay, let me go meet this Joe Hippensteel guy. And it was amazing. It's like super easy stretching for long periods of time, nice slow stretching with a regimen, like 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 2 minutes on, and specific stretches. And I got into it, and basically, where the pain comes from. It comes from not the actual injury, but from the muscle lock. So I would wake up every morning, and it was difficult to put socks on. I couldn't. It was hard to put my pants on. My back was just wrecked, and it was because of, and this is what Joe said, it's because your back muscles are locked. They're in a condition like where they're permanently locked. You have to slowly and very slowly stretch it out and unlock it. And once you learn the system and you stick with it, it works. It works. It's unlocked my back. It works so good that I barely even do the stretches anymore. And then once muscle memory will lock it up again. If I'm like weightlifting or something, I'm like, oh, there it is. And so then for the next 2-3 days, I do the program and then it's back. That's the problem. It works so good that I forget to do the stretches. I wake up in the morning, there's no pain. It's still not 100%, but I would say at some points I feel 100%, but every now and then when I get lazy and I don't do the stretches, and then, cause I'll do some weightlifting and then I'll tweak something. I'm like, oh man, I got to get back to the stretching. But it works 1,000%. I would recommend the Joe Hippensteel method for anybody that has lower back problems, because that's the area that I worked on specifically. He's got programs for every part of the body. There's a neck program, shoulder program, knee program. I only did the lower back program, and I know that works. So if you have a super tight lower back, and it's because your muscles are locked, and you got to unlock the muscles, and you got to learn how to unlock your muscles. It isn't about going to a masseuse and having her drill her elbows in your back. That's what most people think. That makes it worse. I always thought that made it better. Oh, you got to loosen it up with the elbows, but it makes it worse. So once you understand the Joe Hippensteel method, you'll see that, man, it's like too good to be true. It's so easy and so painless. Joe's is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Super cool, super smart, knows his craft, and he figured it out. This guy's a genius.